everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Abby, and today I am continuing on by finishing the starter evolution of the original 151 Pokemon. So that means Squirtle, Wartortle, and Blastoise. Anyway, I'm really excited to get into this because I've wanted to complete the starters just so I can get myself over that for the challenge. I know it's only 3 evolutions in, so it's not like getting myself over the middle of it, but it makes me feel like something's complete with all of those starters being completed. So I have my plans, I have the yarn, and I'm ready to go. So let's crochet.
Hello and welcome to this crochet video. So we're finishing off the starter Pokemon, which makes me pretty happy. It's not like I'm actually done crocheting Pokemon because, like I said, I want to do all 151, but it does feel like by finishing the starter Pokemon, I am closing the chapter on something. I still definitely have a long way to go to crochet them all. And by all, I mean only the original 151. There are some from the second and third generation that I really love because those were the generations that I paid the closest attention to. But I don't know if I'm going to get to those because it honestly is going to take me forever to finish the original 151. So hopefully you guys are in it for the long haul. I calculated it out once, and if I did 1 evolution per month, it would take me around 4 or 5 years to finish, which is a long time. If I were able to do it, I'd like to do more than 1 evolution per month, but that's probably going to be more with the 2 evolutionary ones or a 1 evolutionary one. So it probably won't take me that long. The reason why this process takes so long is that I have to record it and my camera battery dies every hour, so I have to pause when I do that, and my hands hurt after a certain amount of hours, and after all of that, I have to spend multiple hours editing this together. I don't know, this process just takes a lot of time, but I really want to make every Pokemon the quality that I like to see in my work, so it's just gonna take a while. That being said, I really do appreciate your patience in all this, and I appreciate the viewership. Anyway, back to Pokemon. It was actually my mom who got me into the whole Pokemon scene. I don't remember a whole lot of the interaction, but I do remember I was really young and I was helping her move some stuff around when I found a Pokemon card. And I have no idea why she had this Pokemon card. I should probably ask her, but she had this Mew Pokemon card and I was totally in love with how cute it looked. Mew is actually still my favorite Pokemon, and I don't know if it's because it was the first Pokemon I ever saw or because I still consider Mew extremely cute because it looks like a cat and I love cats. I don't even know if my siblings were jealous and they all had to get Pokemon cards after that, but probably because we all ended up getting into Pokemon pretty hard. Like, we loved it so much as kids. We would do everything. We had so many Pokemon cards. We had these little Pokemon figurines that I swear you could buy at the Dollar Tree. I tried looking this up, but I don't know if it's just a faulty memory or if it's something that, you know, isn't documented, but I totally remember Pokemon figurines being sold at the Dollar Tree. Is that something that other people remember, or is that really just me losing my mind? There are little bits and things that I remember about our childhood, and one of them is this Pokemon event that we went to at the mall where there was someone dressed up in a big Pikachu costume and you could take pictures with it and they would sell you those pictures and the pictures in keychains. I think I have the picture somewhere of me with this Pikachu, but it's probably at home. So maybe I'll be able to get to it before I actually hit that Pikachu episode. If I do, look forward to that, because as a kid, I had one type of fashion sense, okay? So it's a very awesome picture, if I can find it. The other thing that I vaguely remember about this event at the mall was that they had a fishbowl full of Pokemon cards that were 10 cents a piece, and you could like look at the Pokemon cards and pick the one that you wanted and pay 10 cents to get it. And I also don't know if that is a faulty memory or if that actually happened, because 10 cents for a Pokemon card, I don't know if that's more expensive or less expensive than what you would expect it to be in the early 2000s or the late 90s, early 2000s. I don't remember when we went, but yeah, it was a very interesting event that clearly had some kind of impression on me because I remember bits and pieces of it. But most of all, what I remember from my childhood was going and spending almost all of my allowance on these Pokemon cards and opening the Pokemon card packs. What's funny to me now is when I went to see Detective Pikachu, they gave me a Pokemon card pack, like one of those special ones, the kind of one that has the Pokemon cards that were made especially for this movie. And I forgot kind of how addicting it is to be opening up a new pack of Pokemon cards. But I remember that being extremely addicting as a kid, and that was the main reason I wanted to buy big packs of Pokemon cards, was so I could open them. I mean, of course, also for the cards, but it was the opening that I really liked. So unlike a lot of kids whose parents would just sell off their Pokemon cards, because I knew people like that. I actually still have all of my Pokemon cards. They're actually at my parents' house though, so I feel kind of bad because I left them all there, but I do want to get those back because I would love to put the Pokemon cards in at the end with the glam shots of each of the Pokemon that I actually make. I don't know if I have all of the 151 Pokemon. Actually, no, that's not true. I'm pretty sure I don't have Mewtwo. I watched the anime up until Generation 3, and that's also about where I stopped buying Pokemon cards. So I have Pokemon cards from Generation 1, 2, and 3, but I don't think I have a complete set of any of those generations. I don't know. One of the things that I would do as a kid was actually reorganize my Pokemon binder by varying standards multiple times, just to make it easier when I was doing trades with the neighborhood kids or with my siblings. We had to be really careful about trades within the family though, because Pokemon can cause arguments. Anything as kids can cause arguments now that I think about it. I remember we had to be really careful about our trades with each other, and we had our own set of rules, like you couldn't do trade backs. After a trade was done, you're done. And I think we also had rules on how many cards you were supposed to give one another, whether something was common, uncommon, or rare. Another thing that we would do that I don't know if any other kids did in their household was actually play fight as Pokemon. And what I mean by that is you had to have the Pokemon card, and it's kind of like the card game, only we would actually be fighting each other in the living room. I don't know how my parents lived with us. Growing up, the first video game console we got was the Nintendo 64. So I think we had Pokemon Stadium, but there wasn't really anything else Pokemon video game related than that in the household. I was extremely jealous though of our cousins who had the Game Boy and would play the old Pokemon games. I would watch them all the time when they came over with that stuff because it was just so fun to watch, and I really wanted to play the video game version, because if you asked me now how to play the card game version, I couldn't tell you, but I can pick up a Pokemon video game and know exactly how to play it. And I think that's like the brilliance of the Pokemon video game, is that it's just so simple, it's so easy to understand, and you can just get right back into it. The first Pokemon game that I ever got, other than Pokemon Stadium, because I'm not really counting that, was Pokemon Black 2 as a Christmas present from a friend of mine, and it is from Generation 5. It looks like. So this is 2 generations beyond of Pokemon that I know. So it's kind of fun to play a game where you don't really know the Pokemon. I haven't actually finished it because I got to a point where I have to beat the Elite Four and I needed to level up a bunch of Pokemon first. So I was working on leveling those guys up, and I guess I might have gotten a little bored or too busy with it because leveling up can take a long time. And I had this game in college, so I probably got sidetracked with applying to my major or a bunch of other projects that I had to work on. I actually hadn't thought about this game for a while because it's on my Nintendo DS, and I have not even charged my DS for over a couple of years. But opening it back up and looking at this game, it looks like I've spent about 70 hours on it. So now I feel really invested, like I should be finishing this. Another thing that I love about opening up this game after so long is that my dad helped me name a lot of these Pokemon. So whenever I go back on there, it has a bunch of these funny names to look through. I actually, you know what, I'm gonna open this up and I'm gonna read you some of these names. Alright, let's take a look. I'm gonna turn this sound down so that you don't have to. So I have okay, first of all, I don't know how to pronounce all of these Pokemon's names because, like I said, I watched the anime up until Generation 3, so I kind of know how to pronounce those names, but I don't necessarily know how to pronounce these names because I don't know what generation some of these are from. I have an Altaria. Their name is Q-Tip. I have a Beartic named Klondike. That is one of my dad's, I think, favorite ones that I can remember. I definitely have a couple of favorite ones myself. I don't remember naming some of these, the things that I've named them, because these names are kind of weird. Oh, and my absolute favorite one of all that my dad definitely named, because I don't think I could have come up with this. I have a Ditto named Xerox. He is my absolute favoritely named one. So a couple years after I got this game, Pokemon Go came out, and like everyone else, I was very excited about that and wanted to play that all the time. So that's probably part of the reason why I haven't turned this DS on in years, is because I was focused on other games. And I remember Pokemon Go being one of the coolest experiences gaming pretty much ever, because everyone wanted to play it, and if you walked around my campus at night, which I did with some friends, you would see a ton of people wandering around playing Pokemon Go, and people would even tell you where good Pokemon were at. It's just so cool to me that that's kind of an experience that we all had at university together. It just made it feel like so integrated into reality. Just like this Pokemon game that I was just looking at, I haven't opened that game in a little bit either. And it's not because the game isn't fun. The main reason that I haven't played it in a while is because I don't really go very many places. And if you don't go many places, you can't spin the Pokestops and you can't get the Pokeballs. So you can't catch anything without that kind of stuff. And therefore, I can't really play it that often unless I'm going somewhere doing something. When I go back home, I do play it with my family because they like to play it, and I do a lot more stuff on vacation than I do not on vacation outside of the home. Weirdly enough, that's just how it happens. I think that's kind of what I really love about Pokemon, is that you can play it as much as you want, and you can set it back down, and you can come back to it, and you'll be able to understand it and just play it whenever you want. It will always be there for you. Do you want to be recorded?
Sure.
Do you remember us saying that we weren't allowed to trade back?
Yeah, I do remember that. Once you traded it, it was traded, like you couldn't go back and undo that.
Do you also remember that there were certain things we weren't allowed to do? Like, you weren't allowed to trade it in uncommon for a common?
Yeah, you had to keep it in like the same quote-unquote class.
Right, yeah. So you had to trade a rare for a rare, or like 2 uncommons for a rare?
Yeah, something that equaled the equivalence of whatever it was that you were trading. But
Okay.
It sounds like you remember all of the rules.
The thing is, I don't know if I remember all these rules, because I think sometimes I just think up stuff in my head and it just sticks there like, oh, that totally happened. Like, do you not remember the freaking Arthur nightmare?
Yes, no, I totally remember that. They're false memories. I remember that we had this Pokemon books.
Oh yeah, we definitely had Pokemon books. I totally forgot about those Pokemon books.
Yeah, you remember how they would like walk you through what made a Pokemon fake or real?
Yeah, I think it had to do with like, there had to be a shadow underneath the picture.
Oh, yeah, because if you were like trying to recreate the fake, you couldn't recreate the shadow that was underneath it.
Yeah, but do you also remember those Pokemon books that we used to get with the tokens in the back?
Yeah, I remember those.
What were those tokens even for?
I don't know, but I'm talking about like I'm not talking about like the actual like Pokemon adventure books. I'm talking about like the guidebooks that we used to read all the time. We would pretend were like really important to whatever things we were playing.
I kind of vaguely remember that. Do you know how many Pokemon there are right now?
Like so many. I don't know.
Do you want to take a guess? Because I looked it up.
I'm gonna guess 2,000.
Whoa, Olivia, that's a little too far.
I don't know how many generations they've had. I'm like, what, 22?
They have, no, they're at generation 7 right now.
Which makes how many Pokemon alive?
As far as I was able to look up, 890 Pokemon.
Wow, I way overshot that.
Yeah. Do you remember us fighting each other in the living room as Pokemon?
Oh, yeah, like the actual play fighting.
Yeah, the play fighting. Do you remember though how like some of us, I feel like I was also guilty of this, would be like, oh, you totally didn't hit me. I'm totally fine, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that you'd win every time.
Wait, what? What? No, I don't remember that.
I remember doing that. I also remember us playing the card game quite a few times. But did we ever play for keeps? I don't think we did, because like part of the card game is that you have Pokemon on the line that you play for keeps.
Yeah, I don't think that we liked that.
I don't think we did either.
Oh, it is Magnemite, so I'm going through all my Pokemon cards to see if I actually have it. I know I gave like all of mine away. I'm just hoping I didn't give that one away.
You didn't give away your clays though.
No, the clays were my thing. I still have all of those.
Yeah. Are you still mad I didn't give you mine? The ones that I had?
Yeah, still mad about it.
Those are still at Mom and Dad's house, all of my Pokemon cards.
And out of respect, I didn't take them.
Oh, out of respect, you didn't steal from me? Thank you.
Well, the Pokemon cards.
Uh-huh, sure. That's still stealing, Olivia. I didn't ever get rid of like any of my Pokemon cards. I was the only one out of you three.
Well, I was like, this is lame.
Well, you would say that. I think with Pokemon, it's like, as kids, you're like very into it. Then when you get into like middle school, high school, a lot of the quote-unquote cool kids were like, oh, that's not cool anymore, you know?
Yeah.
But then like when I got to college, it was I guess cool again. It was always cool to me, so I didn't really care. But I guess it was cool again for everyone to like it in college for some reason.
I don't know. I guess like the older I've gotten, the more nerdy and weird I've got.
Well, thank you for talking to me.
You're welcome. I don't know if this conversation was any good enough to have in the video.
Okay, well that part's gonna make it in, so. Pokemon has been such a big part of my life for so long that I really don't think I'll ever get tired of it, in all its aspects at least. Because I might get tired of all the add-ins and don't want to memorize all of the names of the 890 current Pokemon. But if I get the next Pokemon game, you had better believe I'm gonna want to catch them all. But as always, you have to start with the first 3 evolutions. So let's finish out that Blastoise and get into those glam shots.
Okay guys, I love the gradient of blue in between the 3 of them. It's hard for me to decide sometimes the color that I want to make a Pokemon because there are definitely different color variants. In some pictures that I've seen, Blastoise is the same color as Squirtle, but I wanted him to be darker to kind of just stand out a little bit more. I am extremely happy with how they turned out, like most of them actually. I think I always say that, but I am pretty much always happy with how they turned out. The only thing that I'm upset about is that Wartortle is a little bigger than I intended him to be, but I tried to restart him like twice and he just wasn't the size that I wanted him to be, so you end up with this guy who's a little bit big, still lovable. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching me create this evolution set of Pokemon. I'm really excited to move on to the next one by the end of it. That's how I always am at the end of evolutions. So I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye!